Under the canopy of the Bodhi tree, disciples sat in contemplative silence. A cooling breeze tempered the mid-morning heat. Among the disciples, a young seeker named Ashray stood silently, his thoughts clouded with feelings of inadequacy. He stepped forward hesitantly, bowing low before the Buddha, his voice quivering with suppressed anguish. "Master," Ashray began, his words trembling like fragile leaves in the wind, "I feel unworthy of achieving the dreams I cherish within my heart." The Buddha observed Ashray with unwavering compassion, sensing the struggle etched deeply within his soul. "Tell me, Ashray, what dreams stir your heart and awaken your longing for purpose?" Buddha asked gently, his voice a serene melody. Ashray hesitated, his head bowed, his emotions tangled like threads in a loom. "I wish to bring harmony and joy to others, to guide them through the storms of their lives." The Buddha nodded, his expression thoughtful, his silence a canvas for reflection that stretched infinitely in time. The banyan leaves rustled softly in the wind, filling the pause with the subtle music of nature's breath. "My child," Buddha said at last, his voice imbued with kindness, "let me share a story that may ease your burden." The disciples listened attentively as Buddha began to speak, his words weaving a tale as luminous as moonlight. "Once, there was a farmer who longed to plant a grove of mango trees on his barren land," Buddha narrated. "The farmer had a sack of seeds, each one a promise of life, a whisper of abundance untold." The story filled the air with vivid imagery, painting an unseen world of dreams waiting to unfurl their wings. Yet doubt plagued his heart like shadows at dusk, whispering that his land was unfit to nurture such aspirations. Buddha paused, his gaze sweeping over the disciples like a gentle tide. The silence held weight, carrying the unspoken message of struggle faced by all who dream deeply. "Imagine a clear mirror," he said. "When it is covered in dust, it cannot reflect the light around it. The dust represents your thoughts," the Buddha explained. "By letting them settle, the mirror of your mind clears. In that clarity," he said, "you will see the truth and hear the silence that has always been there." A gentle breeze rustled the leaves, punctuating his words, as if the forest itself bore witness to his teaching. "Do not attempt to force silence," he continued. "Force only strengthens resistance. Surrender allows stillness to emerge." "The river didn't ask for my attention," he said, "nor did it demand silence. It simply existed, flowing. Like the river, your peace is not distant," he said. "It flows within you, waiting to be noticed." Encouraged by the traveler, the farmer finally sowed his seeds, and with each effort, his land blossomed into a grove of life. Ashray closed his eyes briefly, breathing deeply, the weight within his heart shifting like sand in an hourglass. "The noise may be great, but it is not greater than your spirit. Your spirit," he said, "is vast, like the sky. Actions are the soil, the water, the sunlight. Without them, even the most vibrant dreams cannot bloom," Buddha explained. Ashray raised his head, the light of understanding igniting within his eyes, dispelling the shadows that had consumed him. "The river taught me that peace cannot be attained by running from noise, but by embracing stillness in its midst. As the river flows unwaveringly amid its surroundings," he said, "so must your peace flow amid life's turbulence. Do not let doubt bind you, my child," Buddha said, his words a gentle stream, cleansing the weight of despair. "Doubt is not your enemy, but a call to arms, urging you to tend to the seeds of your dreams." Ashray and the disciples listened with unwavering attention, their hearts filled with both humility and determination. Buddha extended his hand toward a small sapling growing by the banyan tree, its leaves tender with youth. "Observe this sapling, fragile yet unyielding, determined to rise despite the challenges of its growth," Buddha instructed. The disciples' eyes followed Buddha's gesture, their thoughts weaving connections between the sapling and their own struggles. It does not question its worthiness, nor does it fear the seasons ahead. It simply grows, fulfilling its nature, Buddha explained. Ashrei smiled faintly, his spirit uplifted by the wisdom that blossomed within him like a tender bloom. Another day, beneath a golden dawn, the Buddha sat with his disciples in the quiet embrace of a forest glade. The morning air was crisp, carrying the scent of blooming jasmine and the faint rustle of awakening leaves. Go forth, Ashrei, and all of you, sow your seeds without fear, for the world awaits your light to shine. The banyan tree stood as a silent witness to the transformation of hearts beneath its ancient canopy. He paused, his voice carrying the weight of gentle certainty. Let me share with you a memory from my path. The sunlight filtered through the banyan leaves, casting rays of hope upon the disciples as they stepped into the world beyond. Another day, the disciples gathered beneath the vast banyan tree, its shade shielding them from the warmth of the sun. The air was serene, yet Ashrei approached the Buddha with a troubled heart, his expression tinged with hesitation. He knelt before the Buddha, his hands clasped tightly, his voice earnest and searching. Master, Ashrei began, I see others who are far greater than me. Their brilliance overshadows my every effort. I realized, the Buddha continued, that the storm did not diminish the tree, nor did the tree fight the storm. Instead, the tree endured, rooted and unshaken, allowing the storm to pass in its own time. He reflected. The two rose, the disciples following at a respectful distance, their curiosity piqued by this new lesson. The path led them to a small clearing where two trees stood, their beauty contrasting yet equally striking. One was tall, its branches wide, adorned with vivid crimson blossoms that swayed gently in the breeze. The other tree was smaller, its blossoms pale and delicate, their subtle grace captivating in its own right. The Buddha gestured toward the trees and turned to Ashrei, his expression thoughtful. Tell me, my child, the Buddha said, which of these trees is more beautiful in your eyes? Ashrei hesitated, his eyes shifting between the towering tree and its smaller, more modest companion. They are both beautiful, Master, Ashrei replied, his voice tinged with uncertainty. Each has its own unique charm. The Buddha smiled faintly, a glimmer of approval lighting his serene features. And he nodded. Exactly so, Ashrei, the Buddha said, his voice carrying a quiet strength. The two trees do not compete with one another, for they grow as nature intended. The disciples listened attentively, their breaths hushed as the Buddha's words wove their timeless wisdom. The taller tree does not diminish the beauty of the smaller tree, nor does the smaller tree envy its companion. The Buddha turned to face the group, his gaze encompassing each of them, his voice resonating deeply within their hearts. You, Ashrei, are like one of these trees, the Buddha said, and those you compare yourself to are the other. Ashrei lowered his gaze, the weight of his comparisons pressing heavily upon his shoulders. Yet the Buddha continued, each being has a unique purpose, a light that is theirs alone to share with the world. The Buddha walked closer to the smaller tree, his hand resting gently against its slender trunk. This tree blooms with the beauty it was destined to embody. Neither more nor less, the Buddha said softly. Likewise, the taller tree does not surpass its own purpose, for it too fulfills its place in the world. Ashrei's eyes lifted to meet the Buddha's, his heart stirred by the simplicity and profundity of the lesson. Master, Ashrei said, his voice almost a whisper, how do I find my own light, my own purpose? The Buddha's gaze softened further, his compassion boundless, as he stepped away from the tree and toward Ashrei. By embracing who you are, Ashrei, the Buddha said, not who you think you should be or how others appear. The Buddha knelt beside the younger man, his presence grounding, his words a balm to the struggles that weighed heavily. The moment you cease to compare your journey to another's, your own light will shine without obstruction, the Buddha continued. The disciples nodded quietly, their own reflections swirling as the Buddha's words planted seeds of understanding within them. Ashrei, the world does not need you to be the tallest tree, only to be the fullest expression of yourself. The Buddha stood and gestured toward the sky, where the sun's light filtered through the leaves, casting dappled patterns of shadow and illumination. Consider the sun and the moon, the Buddha said. Each offers light to the world, yet their radiance is distinct and complementary. The disciples looked upward, their thoughts expanding as they grasped the magnitude of the lesson hidden within the celestial metaphor. The sun does not envy the moon's glow, nor does the moon diminish the brilliance of the sun's rays, Buddha explained. Ashrei took a deep breath. His spirit lightened, his vision unclouded as the significance of the lesson began to settle within. Master, I understand now, Ashrei said, his voice steady. I have spent too much time trying to be another's light. The Buddha smiled, his presence radiating reassurance, his words flowing like the gentle current of a river. Yes, my child, the Buddha said, your light is sufficient, and the world awaits your gift. As it is, the lotus, he said, is not untouched by its surroundings, but it rises above them, its essence untainted and pure. He paused, gazing at the pond. Before continuing, the Buddha turned to the disciples gathered around him, his words addressing them all, his wisdom uniting their shared struggles. None of you are here to become what you are not, only to discover the truth of what you already are. The disciples bowed deeply, their gratitude and reverence spilling forth like a quiet hymn of devotion. The banyan tree stood steadfast, its presence a silent witness to the unfolding transformation of hearts beneath its ancient branches. The sunlight shifted as the day wore on, painting the clearing in golden hues, a testament to the ever-changing beauty of nature. The disciples dispersed slowly, their spirits awakened, their minds alight with wisdom that would guide them forward. The Buddha remained in the clearing for a while longer, his gaze resting on the two trees, a serene smile gracing his face. The clearing, once filled with the chatter of troubled hearts, now stood tranquil, imbued with the harmony of understanding. The teachings of the Buddha lingered in the air, like ripples on the surface of a still pond. Ashrei walked away with lighter steps, his heart uplifted, his path no longer burdened by the weight of comparison. The lesson of the trees, simple yet profound, echoed in his soul as he stepped back into the world. The sun began its descent, the horizon ablaze with hues of gold and orange, a reminder of the beauty in every ending. The disciples carried the Buddha's teachings with them, their hearts alight, their spirits nourished by the light of understanding. In the shade of the banyan tree, a new chapter of growth and purpose began to take root in their lives. Another day, the disciples assembled under the banyan tree, its ancient branches embracing them with a profound sense of calm. Ashrei approached the Buddha, his brow furrowed, his thoughts burdened by the fear of inevitable failure. Kneeling, he folded his hands in reverence and spoke with the humility of a seeker. Master, Ashrei began, his voice carrying the weight of unspoken struggles. Even as I strive, I fear that I will fail. The Buddha looked at Ashrei, his gaze serene and unwavering, like the stillness of a mountain overlooking the vast plains. Ashrei, the Buddha said softly, accompany me to the river. It holds answers to fears that often cloud our hearts. Together, the Buddha and Ashrei walked, the other disciples following silently, their curiosity piqued by the promise of new wisdom. The river stretched before them, its waters glinting under the sunlight, a dance of currents moving toward the distant horizon. The Buddha gestured toward the flowing waters, his expression thoughtful, his voice steady and calm. Observe the river, Ashrei, the Buddha said. It twists and turns, meeting obstacles. Yet it continues its journey toward the ocean. Ashray's eyes followed the river's winding course, his thoughts mirroring its flow, his heart beginning to understand its lesson. Master, does the river not despair when it encounters obstacles? Does it not lament its struggle? Ashray asked earnestly. The Buddha smiled, his eyes reflecting the calm clarity of one who sees the truth within all things. The river does not despair, Ashray, the Buddha said, for its purpose is not to avoid obstacles but to move forward. The disciples nodded as they listened, their minds absorbing the resonance of the river's journey as a metaphor for life. Every stone it encounters, every fall it braves, shapes its path, yet it flows onward with unwavering resolve. Ashray's shoulders relaxed slightly, the weight of his fear beginning to lift like mist dissolving under the morning sun. Master, Ashray said, how can I learn to move forward like the river, untroubled by the rocks along my way? The Buddha turned toward Ashray, his gaze filled with compassion, his words chosen with deliberate care. By accepting that obstacles are part of the journey, not a hindrance but a means of growth and transformation, the Buddha said. He knelt by the riverbank, his fingers tracing patterns in the soft earth, his actions deliberate and meditative. A sculptor carves a statue not in one stroke, but through countless efforts, each imperfection refining its beauty, Buddha explained. The disciples watched intently, their breaths stilled as they contemplated the interplay between persistence and the evolving form of dreams. Likewise, your journey is not defined by a single moment of triumph or failure but by the act of striving. Buddha continued. Ashray knelt beside the Buddha, his heart opening to the wisdom that flowed as naturally as the river before him. Master, Ashray said, I see now that my fear of failure is a shadow that obscures the light of my purpose. The Buddha smiled gently, his presence imbued with boundless patience, his teachings a gentle flame igniting understanding. Ashray, trust not in the certainty of success, but in the worthiness of your effort, and peace will find you, Buddha said. When he finally released his arrow, it flew true, striking its mark. Buddha paused, allowing the meaning of the story to settle within the disciples' minds. The disciples, inspired by the analogy, felt their own fears begin to dissipate like leaves carried away by the current. The river teaches us that the journey itself is the treasure. Ashray, Buddha said, his voice imbued with the certainty of truth. Ashray's gaze softened, his heart unburdened by the insight that life's value lies in the pursuit, not its endpoint. Master, I am grateful for your wisdom, Ashray said, bowing deeply. I will strive without fear and trust my path. Consider the carpenter shaping a plank of wood, Buddha said. Every stroke of his chisel is deliberate, guided by purpose. The disciples bowed before the Buddha, their spirits fortified by the lessons shared beneath the vastness of the sky. The sun began its descent, casting golden rays upon the river, its surface shimmering like a mirror of the heavens above. Ashray stood by the river's edge a moment longer, his reflection merging with the water, a symbol of his inner transformation. The disciples walked in quiet contemplation, their hearts alight with the truths they had witnessed, their fears subdued. The banyan tree awaited them, its shade welcoming them back as the day began to wane into the quiet hues of dusk. The Buddha sat beneath its branches once more, his presence a beacon of stillness amidst the ever-turning wheel of existence. The lessons of the day etched themselves into the souls of the disciples, a compass guiding them toward their dreams. The river flowed on, as it always had and always would, its journey a testament to the unyielding beauty of persistence. Ashray's steps felt lighter as he returned to his place among the disciples, his heart no longer bound by fear. The banyan leaves rustled softly, their cadence a song of renewal. a hymn to the courage found in striving. The teachings of the Buddha settled into the hearts of all who had listened, a sacred gift to carry forward. The disciples dispersed for the evening, their minds quiet, their spirits enriched by the wisdom they had absorbed. The sun dipped below the horizon, the world bathed in twilight, a reminder of the eternal dance of light and shadow. The Buddha remained beneath the banyan tree, his gaze lifted toward the stars, his thoughts as vast as the cosmos. The river's murmur faded into the distance, yet its lesson endured, a silent echo within the hearts it had touched. And so, the journey continued, for the Buddha's teachings were like the river, ever flowing, ever guiding. Blessed One, your wisdom dispels our doubts and illuminates our path, Ananda said. Buddha's smile reflected his understanding and acceptance. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.